Hey everyone, this is Jason Bell. In this session, I am back at Texas Card House. Yes, this is the 5th time, but this place has been really good to me. In this episode, I play 1-2 No Limit. I hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe, and here we go. Hey, this is the first recordable hand of the evening. Now the max buy-in on this 1-2 game is $300, and I had previously won a very tiny pot beforehand. But I'm on the button and I'll look down at Ace Deuce offsuit. Folds to me, and of course I'm going to raise this one up. So I bet $10, and the big blind actually puts in a hefty 3-bet to $45. This is making me thinking, okay, maybe he's got pocket kings, pocket queens, maybe pocket jacks. I make the call, hoping that an ace here comes on the flop. Pot is a little over $90, and the flop is king 10 deuce with 2 hearts. Alright, so I've got a piece of this board. However, the big blind bets $60. That's about 2/3 the size of the pot. And, yes, I've got a piece of the board. An ace could still come that would give me 2 pair. A deuce could come that would give me 3 of a kind. So I'm peeling off here. I make the call for $60. Pot is a little over $200, and the turn is the queen of spades. At this point, the big blind goes all in and for his remaining stack, and here obviously I'm in really bad shape. No way I'm going to stick around for this one. I'm definitely not putting in the rest of my money, hoping that a 2 comes out. If an ace comes out, that's not any help either because he could have pocket jacks in the straight, so this one's an easy fold for me, and I go ahead and fold. Okay, in this hand, I am in the big blind, and I look down at 10 deuce of diamonds. Yes, the Doyle Brunson hand. The under the gun limps, folds to the hijack who limps, the button limps, the small blind limps, and I'm just going to make the check here with my 10 deuce. Pot is $10, and the flop is 2-8-6 with 2 clubs. All right, so yeah. I've got another piece of this board, yet again with another deuce. It checks to the button, who bets $10. The small blind folds. I make the call. I've got a piece. The under the gun makes the call, and the hijack folds. So the pot is $40. The turn is the deuce of hearts. All right, so I make trips. So I check to the aggressor, and the under the gun checks, and the button bets $20. Of course, I'm going to make the call here, so that's what I do, and the under the gun folds. Case could be made to put in the raise in case if the button was on a club draw or maybe some sort of straight draw. Pot is $80. The river is the 7 of diamonds. I don't think he's got a straight with the 7 here. I don't think he's got 9-10 because I've got the 10 blocker. So I lead for $50. I don't want to check and risk him checking behind. So that's about, almost 2/3 the size of the pot. And the button actually makes the call. So the pot is $180. I show my 10 deuce. And the button muck, so I take down this decent sized pot here. Okay, in this hand I'm in the big blind, and I'll look down at 6-7 offsuit. The low jack raises to $15, and it folds around to myself, and I think this is a callable hand, so I make the call. Pot is a little over $30, and we're heads up to a flop, which is 6-6-10. All right, so I hit trips here. I check to the aggressor, and the low jack checks behind me, so that tells me he likely doesn't have an overpair. He may have something like ace king, king queen, king jack, something like that. The turn is the 6 of diamonds. Yes, sir. I hit quads. Okay. What is the proper bet sizing? I definitely don't want him to fold, so I bet down a little bit. I bet 1/3 of the size of the pot, $10. The low jack quickly makes the call. The pot is a little over $50, and the river is the king of hearts. All right. Again, what is the proper bet sizing here? I think if he doesn't have a king, any bet he might fold to. Right? If he does have a king, I'm thinking, maybe he might call something like $75 or $100 even. But in this hand, unfortunately, I bet $35, which I think was a massive mistake here. Let me know what you guys think. Was $35 a mistake? I think it was. I think I should have bet somewhere in the $75 to $100 range. He quickly makes the call after I bet $35. Of course, I take this one down, and he shows the king of spades. So dang it, I think I missed out on, a good opportunity for at least 40 more bucks here. Again, let me know what you guys think, but this was a nice hand. Nice to get quads here. Okay, in this hand, I am in the middle position, and I look down at queen 10 of spades. I open for $10, and the low jack is the only player that makes the call. Now, this might have been a little bit loose. I've been playing for a couple hours at this point, hadn't haven't really seen much of a hand at all, but I think Queen 10 suited is an okay hand to open. So that's what I do. We're heads up to a flop, which is 3-8 ace with 2 hearts. All right, usually I don't like to bet when out of position, but in this case, I ended up betting $10. Tried to take down the pot right now, also as kind of a protection bet, and the low jack makes the call. So what is that telling me? She might just be making the call just because she knows it's a C bet, or it's possible she has an ace or is on some sort of heart draw. The turn is the 10 of diamonds. All right, so I've got second pair here, and instead of checking, I bet $15. I think this was a little bit low, but the low jack makes the call. So it's possible that she's got a pretty weak ace here. I think if she had a strong ace, she would have put in the raise, or maybe even a heart draw. She might have put in the raise either after the flop or after the turn here, but I'm not quite certain what she has. I'm thinking she might have a weak ace. So the pot is a little over $70. The river is the 7 of clubs, and at this point, I kind of shut it down. I'm kind of convinced myself that she does have some sort of weak ace. I make the check, and the low jack checks behind. I show my Queen 10 of spades, and she shows 7-9 offsuit. So I take this one down. I think she was on, obviously a straight draw once the turn hit, and she didn't get there, but she did get a small piece of the board at the river. But I ended up taking this one down, so I'll take it. Okay, in this hand, I am in the small blind, and I'll look down at King Jack offsuit. The under the gun +1 limps. The low jack raises to $10. The button makes the $10 call, and, I have been folding like a madman here. Just haven't really seen any good cards whatsoever. I'm probably 3 hours in at this point. I make the call. I don't think King Jack is a 3-bettable hand from the small blind, but generally when I'm in the small blind, I either fold or 3-bet. I generally don't like to call, but I do in this case. I need to get my VPIP up a little bit. Big blind folds, and the under the gun +1 makes the call. So we're multi-way into a pot of $40, and the flop is 10 Jack 7 with 2 diamonds. I am way out of position in this multi-way pot, so I make the check, and it ends up checking around. The turn is the 7 of clubs. I think I'm pretty good here with my top pair, essentially 2 pair on this board, right? I put in a bet of $20, which was, half pot. This shows some pretty significant strength, but I had to start putting money into this pot at this point. I think I'm pretty good, and unfortunately, everyone else folds, but that's okay. I take this pot down. I'll take it. Okay, in this hand, I am in the big blind, and I look down at 7-10 offsuit. It folds around to the button, who raises to $10, and I make the call here. I think this is definitely a callable hand from the big blind. Pot is a little over $20, or heads up to a flop, which is 10-3 deuce with 2 spades. I check being out of position, and the button checks as well. All right, so the turn is the 5 of clubs. I think I'm pretty good here. With my top pair, pretty horrible kicker, I bet $10, about half the size of the pot, and the button makes the call. Pot is a little over $40, and the river is the 9 of hearts. I think I'm pretty good here. It's certainly possible that the button's got maybe some overcards, maybe he's got a very small pocket pair. I bet $20, and the button folds here, and I take this one down. Okay, in this hand, I am in the cutoff, and I look down at 9-5 of spades. At this point, I have been folding constantly throughout the entire evening. I'm about 3.5 to 4 hours in at this point, have yet to see a premium hand. I decide to open for $10, and the button is the only one that makes the call. So we're heads up to a flop, which is ace 5-7 with 2 clubs and 1 spade. All right, I've got bottom pair and some backdoor spade possibilities here. I lead for $12 to try to take this one down now. That ace is kind of a scary card. However, the button raises to $30. All right, this is screaming ace here. I think he's got an ace, or he's possibly on a club draw. I make the call because of my backdoor possibilities here. The pot is a little over $80. The turn is the 10 of hearts, and I'm practically given up at this point. I didn't hit another 5. My spade draw possibility is gone. I make the check, and the cutoff checks behind me. So I'm not quite certain what he's got. I was thinking for certain he's got an ace or still a club draw. However, the river is a 2 of hearts, so that really changes nothing. Obviously the club draw doesn't get there, but I check. I'm pretty much done with this hand, and the cutoff bet's $30, and I quickly fold here. Okay, at this point in the evening, I've added on for an additional 100. I'm in the big blind, and I'll look down at Queen Jack of diamonds. This is by far the prettiest hand I've seen all evening. Middle position raises to $6. The hijack makes the call. The cutoff calls. The button calls. The small blind calls, and of course, I'm going to make the call as well. I guess a case could be made to put in the 3-bet, but I make the call. Pot is $36, and the flop is 8 deuce 3 with 2 diamonds. All right. I've got a flush draw here. Middle position puts in a pot-sized bet of $36. The hijack folds, the cutoff folds, the button makes the call, which gave me the equity to stay in. Small blind folds, and of course I make the call. I've got overs and I've got the diamond draw. The pot is almost $150. The turn is the 7 of clubs. This time the middle position bets $95 and the button jams for about $130. I'm not going to stick around now. Yeah, I've got 2 overs and a diamond draw, but it's just not worth sticking around. I put in the fold and the middle position player calls for the extra $35 or so, and the pot is a little over $400. The river is the 4 of hearts, and the middle position player shows king 8 of hearts, and the button shows pocket kings, and the button takes this one down. Okay, in this hand, I am in the big blind yet again, and I look down at king 8 of clubs. The middle position player raises to $6. The low jack calls 6, cutoff raises to $15, a whopping $15 3-bet. The small blind calls 15, I call the 15, middle position calls the 15, and the low jack calls the $15. So we are multi-way into this flop, which comes 9 queen king with 2 hearts. Small blind checks, I check being out of position, and it checks to the cutoff, who bets $20. The small blind makes the call. Of course, I make the call with my top pair, and the middle position and low jack players both fold. Pot is a little over $130. The turn, the ace of diamonds. All right, I'm still out of position. Small blind checks, I check. The cutoff bets $20. Again, that was his favorite bet sizing. Small blind and I both call. So we are still multi-way into a river, which is the queen of clubs. All right, there are a lot of things that beat me here. An ace beats me, a queen beats me, I guess a jack 10 beats me. Small blind checks, I check, and the cutoff checks, and the cutoff shows the ace 7 of hearts, and unfortunately I lose this pot. Okay, at this point in the evening, we're about 4 to 4.5 hours into this session, and I've added on for another $100. I'm in the cutoff, and I look down at queen 4 of hearts. All right, now bear with me because there's a lot of pre-flop action in this hand. The under the gun raises to $6. Middle position calls. Low jack calls. The hijack calls. I make the call, trying to get that VPIP up, yet still have not seen a premium hand this evening. The button raises to $20 very quickly. I'm just like, oh man. Small blind calls the 20. Big blind folds. Under the gun folds. Middle position player calls the 20. Low jack calls 20. Hijack calls the 20. And I call the 20. Wow, that was a mouthful. Yes, this is Texas poker for you. We are extremely multi-way into a flop, which comes 2, 8, queen, rainbow. All right, so I hit top pair. Pretty horrible kicker here. It ends up checking around into this multi-way pot. So pretty crazy. The turn is the 4 of spades. Yes, sir, I've got 2 pair. The small blind bets $35. I'm like, thank you, sir. Middle position player calls 35 and the hijack calls 35. What the heck? All right, so I'm definitely want to put in a squeeze here, but the proper squeeze would be $175, right? So 3 times the initial raise, plus any additional money put in the pot. So if I squeeze, for $175, that would leave me with a 20% pot size bet left on the river. So I end up jamming for my remaining stack of about $267, and unfortunately everyone else folds, but I end up taking down this nice size pot. I'll take it. Okay, this is the final hand of the evening. I'm in the big blind and I'll look down at jack deuce of hearts. The hijack limps, the cutoff raises to $6, button calls 6, the small blind calls the 6, I make the call, and the hijack calls the $6. So, yep, multi-way into a flop, which is 2, 8, 7 with 2 hearts. All right, so I've got a heart draw, I've got bottom pair, I've got lots of options here. I'm out of position, I make the check, the button ends up betting $35. Small blind folds, I call the $35 of course, the hijack folds, and the cutoff calls the $35. The pot is $135. The turn, the 2 of clubs. Yes, sir. All right, I hit trips. I've still got a heart draws. I've got the world here. But being out of position, I make the check. The cutoff checks, and the button bets $40. I look at his stack, and I'm thinking he's got about $100. And so I raise to $100, thinking that that'll cover it. Cutoff folds. The button puts in his remaining stack of, $23. Of course, I make the call. Pot is a little over $380. I show my jack deuce of hearts, and the button shows pocket tens. So we need to dodge a 10 here on the river. The river is the 4 of hearts. All right, I take this one down. I win with my flush, and it's nice size pot here. Glad to take it down. Wow, so this was the absolute most card dead session I think I've ever played. I played a little over 5 hours, never saw one premium hand, not one. Somehow I ended up making money, I don't know how. Bought in for $300, added on once for $100, added on second time for another $100. So I was in for $500, out for $625. Can't believe it, don't know how it was possible. Best ace I saw was ace-7 offsuit. Best king I saw was king-jack offsuit. Unreal. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.